terms of like relationships, I remember my mum once said this phrase of, you know, love is all good, but like what did she say? When bills come through the door, love goes out the window. Like that was her.
Yo, my people, you are locked into another episode of the Money Ties podcast. Your boy Clarence K, also known as CK Talks Money, and today we are blessed with another amazing guest. We're blessed with someone that if you want to increase your pay, today is the day you're going to learn how to talk to your manager and what to do. We have Shay, my sis. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing? You good?
I'm good, man.
Nice.
Very good. Thank you.
I feel like I gave you a bit of a senior minister introduction.
No, real pastor. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Tell them a little bit about yourself. Who are you, Shay?
So I would say I call myself a busybody basically. So I have a few bits that I do.
Yeah.
So the first thing, I have a 9-to-5. So I work in tech sales, basically in corporate sales.
Nice.
Outside of that, there are two main things that take up the majority of my time. So the first one is, I think maybe how we connected, but actually I'm not even sure. I don't know.
I think we connected through Clubhouse. Is that what that thing was called? Clubhouse,
Was it?
right?
Yeah.
It was Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Sorry, lockdown.
Okay, and on there I was talking about job
like
stuff.
Jobs and income and talking about money. And
Yeah.
Okay, that was the one.
So okay, cool. So the first, that's kind of how we sort of connected. So that first side hustle, I guess, is my platform called JobsWithShay. So essentially I create content, create resources, basically to help people find jobs that they love, that they're passionate about. And essentially a lot of the feedback I get is that, now I feel confident. So it's really to help people with their confidence to be able to say, look, this is what I want to earn.
Nice.
So I've been doing that for about 3 years now. It's been 3 years. I started during the pandemic, during the lockdown.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's basically writing threads, writing ebooks. I'm going to do a webinar at some point, like all of that stuff just to help people and support them to get their next job. And then the other side hustle is my events company. So I co-own that events company. It is the UK's largest Black British pub quiz.
Come on, man.
So
I had one of those glasses. I like the way you explain that.
Yeah.
UK's largest.
Yeah, man.
I'll say I don't bring you lot the best.
So I run that with one of my closest friends who I met at university.
Nice.
So we've been doing that. It's gonna be 5 years at the end of this year, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So we started that.
That long.
Yeah, it's crazy actually. But we started that one in sort of Christmas of 2018, and that kind of just came from like me and this friend, we just loved going out, so we wanted to do an event. But then it was just like, okay, there are actually a lot of events coming up in London, like a lot of parties at the moment. What can we do that's different? So I went to a pub quiz. I couldn't answer a single question, and I was like, this is what we're gonna do. And then my friend was on board. We went with that, and since we started off in Prince of Peckham, I think there were like less than 100 people, and now it's like 300 to 400 people per event. Man. DJ, it's just good vibes. It's good vibes. Yeah, so those are that's what I do.
A vibe.
I do.
The first time me and Shay actually met in person.
Oh yeah.
Shay was enjoying herself, man. Hey, big up that motive as well. We all love going out.
Yeah. Wow, I do remember that one actually. Yeah, I was having a great time.
Yes,
so were you.
Enjoyments. I have to enjoy this life.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you for that intro, Shay.
Yeah, and thank you.
I just want to touch a little bit on JobsWithShay.
Yeah.
Like, what made you start that? Was it like did something happen, or did you realize something? Like, what was it that made you say, you know what, I really want to help people be the best that they can be and achieve their dream jobs?
Yeah, so someone asked me this recently, and I really had to think like what made me start this. But I actually did start up a platform ages and ages ago.
Okay.
It was called like CV Savvy or something like that, and I did it on Instagram.
Nice.
But my thing is, I'm not creative. Like I'm not like an artsy. Like, I can't make things look nice, but I have a lot to say, and I can write. So essentially, what actually happened. So that sort of CV savvy thing. Like I just stopped doing it after a few posts. I was like, okay, I can't do this. Okay. But the Twitter stuff actually started. It was actually from when my mum she got COVID. So I made a Twitter thread because basically it got quite serious, right? Her COVID. She ended up in ICU. Thank God she's still here. She's fine. She's with us. But at the time we were looking after her at home. So there was this period between like when someone got really bad COVID, between when they went into hospital, like it was just not that much information on like how to look after them. So essentially during that time I made a thread on Twitter and it was just like, you know, this is what you need to do. You need to get this thing to measure their pulse that goes on there. All of that information, I just put it in a thread and it literally went crazy because so many people needed that information.
That's what we need, is value.
Literally. So super weird. Like I don't know whether it's a coping mechanism or whatever, right? But my mum ended up going into hospital and while she was in there, I had this realization or this sudden like, I need to just work through this. Like, I don't know. I just got really motivated. And it then turned into this thing of like, no, I need to make sure I'm doing something that's in line with my passion. And that really strange, really sad scenario of like my mum literally being in hospital gave me both those answers, if that makes sense. So it gave me like, okay, you need to be doing your passion. It also gave me the how, like the means, which is through Twitter, because I realized like, oh, I can actually write things and I can write important things that people will take notice of, if that makes sense. So that's actually the story, even though it's quite a deep one. That's literally where it came from. No, because someone asked me recently
about he didn't want to pay me the money I deserved and then I had to go back to his house.
No. It's a real that's actually like how it started, honestly. I think Twitter is just, because I like writing, it's just a really easy way for me to just, do you know what I mean? Just like write what I have to say, get it to an audience, and that's kind of it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done. And you mentioned ebooks earlier.
Yeah.
Is that all kind of part of the same thing?
Yeah.
Ebooks are on these things that you talk about with jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So the ebooks, I would say, are probably my, I suppose, mainstream of income. Obviously, like with Jobs with Shay, it can sort of diversify into like going to speak for companies and consulting with brands. But at the minute, what I have time for is it's basically a passive income stream, right? So I made, during that same period of the pandemic, I wrote one ebook at the time, and then I followed up with 2 more. So I have, basically that ebook is called The Radical Job Seeker, and it's just really about how job seekers can position themselves, do things differently in order to make them stand out. I have that ebook, and I've just been those 3 ebooks are just on sale. So that's the main resource that you can get from Jobs with Shay.
I feel like we need to start this episode again, and when I'm introducing, be like, we have an author here, a writer, a best-selling ebook. Wow, that's amazing. Because I always admire when people are able to put together a resource that more than one person can take advantage of. And with something like an ebook, it's literally your knowledge on a piece of paper 100%. On a screen. So that is amazing. So you mentioned that you've made streams of income from those ebooks. Was that your initial thought when you started? Were you thinking about, I want to make money from it? Or was it kind of just like, you know what, I need to do something right now and this is what I'm doing? What was your approach? Great question.
I don't know when the whole I need to make money from this came in, and I'm sure we're gonna get into like money mindset soon, but I've always been somebody that's like, okay, I need to have multiple streams of income. But I know that when I first started my Twitter page, it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna start this and then do an ebook. That's just kind of how it happened. Literally just naturally transformed in that. But what I would say is that I was very meticulous and sneaky about my sneaky is what I'll call it, about my Twitter process, because I'll be honest, I studied how to grow on Twitter, and then from that I studied how to monetize Twitter, and then that's when I got into like the ebook space, and I feel like that happened like within a month or 2, so it was all kind of within the same time period. But I've always sort of had that like passive income, like what I didn't know what it would look like, but then I think when I was like studying about growth on Twitter, it was like, like tweet 20 times a day and I was tweeting at a brick wall, but do you know what I mean? Like literally 20, no, for real.
Wow.
But then I think in that sort of space, the people that sort of teach about that stuff, you know, when they say like money Twitter and like those, do you know what I mean? Like that sort of space, those like, you know, there's some weirdos on there, but like you learn a lot, and they speak a lot about ebooks and passive income. So that's kind of where I got that knowledge from, just learnt about it, studied, and then put the ebooks out.
Nice. I think we found a new manager of the CK Talks Money Twitter. My Twitter has been lacking from the day it started. But we'll discuss that. But let's dive into the money, man. You just mentioned monetizing as well. So I'm gonna ask you a question I asked to all my guests.
Mm-hmm.
Scale of 1 to 10. How important is money to you, and why?
And why? 1 to 10. I'm gonna say 10. Yeah,
10.
yeah. I'm gonna either a 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I think I would. It would be cap if I said otherwise. To be honest.
I respect it.
Yeah. I think I've always had money's always been a big focus to me, and I think more so I'm realizing that it's not necessarily like the dollar amount. I think it's more that what like money being a resource and what it can get me, i.e. freedom, i.e. like access to things, whether it's to do with like taking care of my mum or just having ownership over my time. But yeah, it's always been super important to me. So I think like even amongst like friends and even to do with the Jobs with Shay stuff, like it's very like I'll speak about salary, I'll speak about asking your colleagues how much they're earning and seeing if you're on the right scale. So yeah, it is super important to me. Cool. Yeah.
And where do you think that mindset comes from? Is that like it kind of happened over time, or was that drilled into you, or what is it?
These are good questions.
This is the money ties. All the questions are good. I thought all Nigerians just this is important. You're Nigerian, right?
Oh yeah.
Every Nigerian, money is important.
Yeah, 100%. We love it. We love it. But do you know what? We love money, but I think more important than like earning money is keeping money. Really, that's the important thing. That's like that's actually what's most important. But
what's that thing they do in the cafes? That one there. That is facts.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So where did that come from? So I would say it's difficult. I don't want to not give my parents the flowers, but I also want to be realistic.
Yeah, of course.
Because so I'll give a story, right? So this is something that I think my mum or my dad reminded me of recently, that basically when we were growing up and me and my sister would both get £10 a week. I don't even know if that was good or bad, yeah. I don't know. Like I can't even, I don't know.
That's really £10.
Was that good? Yeah, £10 a week.
That's really good stuff.
Damn. We were not, it's not like we were up. I don't know.
Is it like lunch money at school? That's just normal.
No, sorry, lunch money. This is. Yeah, £10 a week.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're just
salary.
Media, exactly.
£2 a day, yeah.
Exactly, £2 a day. So we were getting £2 a day. So £10 a week. My dad would give us both in cash. Nice. My sister would spend that money on the first day.
Big spending.
Two big.
What's your sister's name?
Big money books, yeah. Books, yeah.
Big her up, man.
She would spend that money on the first day to the point where my dad had to give her £2 each morning. Yeah. And he told me, I think it was my dad that told me this recently, I would literally spend £1 a day and have £5 left at the end of each week. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't.
Wow. I have to get your sister on the podcast. She got forced into the budgeting thing.
Yeah, literally. But you know what's so mad, yeah? I've never, like even now, I don't do, I'm like a disorganized, organized person. Like, I don't do budgets and spreadsheets, whereas my sister is so organized. Like she's so organized with everything. She knows where every penny is going. Do you know what I mean? So it's just interesting how like our childhood has kind of like given us that different, those different money personality types. But so yeah, I'm kind of thinking there is some innateness there because I'm struggling to see where that would have come from. But I would say in terms of like where my money mindset has come from, I think there's a few ways that you can kind of learn lessons from your parents. You can learn them in like a this is what you need to do and this is how you should spend in a direct way, right? But then there's also indirect in terms of like, okay, I've seen some things and maybe this is what I'm going to avoid or maybe this is what I'm going to take from the situation. So I think maybe that's where some of it has come from. Maybe I've seen some things that I'm like, okay, actually, or even actually, my parents have maybe made some mistakes and said, this is where we've gone wrong. This is what you need to be doing. Especially my mum more so.
Are they quite open with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very open. Yeah. Super open, like super transparent about like maybe the money mistakes that they've made or like maybe where they see, traits that they have that I might need to look out for, things like that. But yeah, I think in the broader sense, my mum definitely has taught me a lot of things to do with money. So, just like, I remember, for example, in terms of like relationships, I remember my mum once said this phrase of, you know, love is all good, but like what did she say? When bills come through the door, love goes out the window. Like, that was her.
Big up mummy.
Yeah, literally. So she has a lot of like nuggets like that. So I suppose, yeah, a lot of it as well. Just a mixture of things. But yeah, there's a lot that I've picked up.
Sick. And what would you say that's the number one principle that you took away from your parents? From growing up, like financial sort of.
From my parents specifically, I'm gonna have to think.
Your
about
sister's
this
one, that one's clear.
Yeah.
Your one, I don't know what your one is.
From my parents specifically, I think maybe from my mum is just. Do you know what? It's not a lesson that she said, but just maybe watching her. I think to give her flowers, we're very similar. She's very entrepreneurial. Right. She's really just a rise and grind babe. Yes. And I think, to be honest, if she had the resources that I do now, she would have been beyond where I am. She would have been doing a mad thing. Correct. So I think that it's just that lesson of like not waiting for anybody before you sort of do your own thing. Nothing's going to come to you. You need to go and get your own opportunities. Yes. And I think that's where I just get my like, you can do it all type mindset, basically. Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And is there anything about finances that you know now that you think, oh, I wish I knew that sooner? What comes to mind?
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Something I wish I knew sooner. I think, okay, looking at some of the things I do now, I would maybe say like how much money is out there. How much money brands have access to, I would say, is a big one. Even this is a lesson maybe I would say that is probably I could have learned like a year or two ago even. Like even in terms of like when I'm asking for budget for things, do not flinch. Because I think the same concepts I teach on the JobsWithShay side, they are easily applicable to like the more creative and like the brand partnership 100%. Side. Like, 100%. You know, brands have the budget. Whatever you're asking for, double it. It's just, it's better to ask for budget from brands than, you know, from individuals essentially. That's where kind of that's where the budget lies basically. They have the big purse string, so you can really just. I said, that's a lesson in itself. Like, just brands basically have big budgets. So to learn how to ask for that, like from no matter how much experience you have or where you are in your journey. Nice. Yeah.
I feel as a community, I say as a community, I can only speak for our community, but I feel as if even just speaking about money is a bit of a taboo sometimes. And I feel like that would stem into, if I left my career path today and I said I'm going to go work with brands and I already have a fear of asking for pay and stuff like that, it's only going to transfer into that space. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who is, let me just use the word nervous when it comes to asking about money and stuff like that? What would you say?
Is this asking for money from brands or in a work scenario?
Let's say asking for money from brands.
From brands.
Yeah.
I would...
Do you mind if I add to the question a little bit?
No, go ahead.
And I guess with asking for that money, also understanding their worth. That's the second part.
Yeah, because I think that part needs to go first actually. Like in order for you to really charge what you're worth, you need to understand what that worth is. So that's the order that it kind of needs to go in. It's really funny because I asked you to differentiate, but really my answer for like career and this is quite similar. It's really a thing of understanding your worth, and then the actual practicality of it is asking the brand first for their budget. Like that's always where it needs to start, because otherwise you're just going in completely blind. And I think maybe another layer that I'll add to that is I think with my the way I teach people about money and like asking for their worth is I kind of use like sales methodology, because that's what my background is in. So that's kind of why I think, you know, people sort of understand where I'm coming from when I tell them to like, it's just the sales mindset, right? Yeah. And with sales, when you're sort of selling something, which in this scenario, you're selling your own services, you need to be selling against the value or rather the hole or the pain that company is in.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So let's say, for example, you're pitching to a brand. I don't know what. Give me the example. Like, what brand might you be pitching to?
Let's say I am pitching to a water brand.
Okay,
water
brand.
I want them to sponsor this podcast.
Right. Okay.
I'm doing side eye because there's a water brand I've emailed to sponsor this podcast. So I want them to sponsor this podcast.
Okay.
They're a water company.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So with this water brand, you don't want to go in with your email to be like, hi, my podcast is amazing. I want this, I want that. Why? Because that is just about you, and that's what you want from the scenario.
Correct, yeah.
The way you flip it on its head is that you say that, you love this water brand. However, the pain and the problem that you've noticed is they're not going to get access to an audience like yours. That's kind of their pain, because you need to point out how much money it is. You need to point out what the
email says.
Yeah, there we go.
Write that email again.
Yeah. Let me have a look at that email.
Write it one more time.
You have to, because otherwise, you're saying the same thing as everyone else. They don't care. There's no difference between what you've sent them and what hundreds of other podcasts have sent them, right? True. That you need to be speaking directly to a gap or something that they're missing. Or the way I put it, because it's a sales thing, they're pain points, which, pain points can either be, saving somebody a cost or making them more money or whatever that might be. You need to search for that and then position yourself as the solution to that. So in that scenario, that's what your value is. Your value is, so say that company, I don't know, could make 100K from getting access to your audience. Yeah. That is your value. Your value isn't what you're not charging them £1,000 for your advertising. Your value, you're thinking about your value. So if they're gonna make 100K, if they're gonna make 100K from you advertising for them, you're looking at that grand that you're charging them for advertising as change. Do you know what I mean? That's nothing. Right. So that's the lesson there. Sorry, that was long-winded, wasn't it?
There's no sorry needed. I should apologize for writing that email that I wrote. Okay, I need to write the email again. That's what I need to do. So in a way, what you're saying is you speak into the business need.
You 100%. That's it.
You speak into the value you're adding. Yeah. Not just how you're adding the value, but also why they need that.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you then do that in a sense where, let's say you're applying for a job at a large corporate company, and I've got this question loads of times in interviews. What value do you think you add?
Right. Okay.
How would someone answer that question?
Yeah. Okay. So what value do you think you add to a corporation? In order, you need to take a step back before you just jump in, because the initial thing is you'll be like, well, I have 5 years experience. I've done this. I've done that. No. Slow down. Let's go back. Yeah. Relax. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah. The exact same thing.
That's it.
Where are you a match to the gaps that the company needs? So what value do you bring? Value in itself is only valuable if there's a need there. Do you know what I mean? If for example, someone has water, still in my mind. So if somebody has 100 bottles of water, if you have 100 bottles of premium water, it doesn't matter. They've already got water. If they don't have any water, they're gonna need what you're selling. They're gonna need what you're giving. So value is just only in proportion to like the gap that's in that organization. So saying that, you need to go back and do your research, and you need to understand where that gap is within that organization. So for example, I always go to marketing because I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's just very like, you know, that generic like job title. But if you're going in for a marketing role and that person has asked you like, what value do you think that you're giving to this organization, as a marketer, you're going to go away, you would have in advance to this would have done your research, and you would have looked at what that company's marketing currently looks like. And you're going to say 3 things, and you're going to say, on social media, you're not doing this. I signed up to your email list and you're lacking this. What else do marketers do? I don't know. I had a look at your SEO ads. I know that's loads of different areas of marketing, but let's just go with it, right? And you're not doing this. And then that's when you have your skills and your capabilities, and you match those up to what the company is missing, and that's where you find the value. That's what you say.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for that, man.
No worries.
We're gonna have a consultation after this. That email.
I'll send you my rates chart. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can tell you're so big.
It rattled me. Like, no wonder they was talking to me one how. It all makes sense now. But let's also talk about. Let's go into the employed space. Yeah. You know, people who are looking for a job, and let's talk about pay.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Now, me personally, I have no issue talking about pay.
Yeah, man.
I kind of straight up just ask people, yo, I beg you tell me what they're paying you.
Yeah, love.
I want to come, but I want to make sure the money makes sense.
Yes.
You understand? So let's say someone who's new to that environment, how best would they find out what that job is paying? Because as you probably know, a lot of jobs don't actually advertise salary.
Yeah, nonsense.
Until you're like second or third stage or even job offer.
Yeah.
So tell us, like,
Yeah.
what's the best way you would say we should go about that?
Finding out what to ask for. First of all, I love that you're just asking people straight. I absolutely love that. Yeah,
I like
yeah, you
money.
must. Yeah,
I like
you
it.
absolutely must. No, I love that. But for people that are just starting out,
Yeah.
I would say that there are two main things that they should be doing. So I suppose the first one, and all of this really is just about preparation, right? But the first thing that they need to be doing is just getting the knowledge and getting their number. So this would be from, I suppose, at the most basic level, go on Glassdoor and check that role in that company.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Some companies aren't posting their salary.
Yeah.
If they're not posting their salary, I would then go to a similar role in a similar size organization and have a look there. So that's the first thing that they're doing. And then with that information, what they're going to do, even if they do lack a bit of experience, I would always go for more than what you need. So you just need to have that number. So that's the first thing I would do. Head online and find that number. If it's a range, you want to be in like the upper percentiles. Yeah. The second thing I would say is basically what you're saying is to ask the question. Now, a lot of people aren't going to be as confident as you. So the way I would say, and the way I think is best to position that question is, rather than what are you earning, it's, it probably will more likely be that they don't know anyone in the organization. So they kind of have to do intros, right?
Yeah.
So they basically need to just message somebody on LinkedIn that's in a similar role, or if not, just in the company, they need to send a message and say, hi, I'm currently in the process of applying to this company.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, so they're going to take their number that they've got from Glassdoor. I'm thinking of pitching myself at around 35K or between 35 and 38K. They're just going to say, does this sound about right? And that person, and it's not asking that person for their salary. It's not saying, bro, what do you earn? But at least it's given, literally. And all that person is going to come back and say is, oh, you've pitched yourself a little bit low there. I'm on this amount. Yeah. Or, oh, that's a bit high. I don't think they're accepting people for that amount. Maybe going at this. That's all you need to do. Those two things, I think, just is where you start from. Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel that, and I find it a bit weird because I was speaking to someone recently. And they were like, oh, it's crazy. Like, stuff is going up. Everything's so expensive. And like a month later, they said to me that they were applying for a job. And that's how I came up with that question of wondering how to ask. Yeah. And they said that they were scared to ask about the salary. I was like, my brother, like, last month you said things are hard. Unless you like hard things, you better go and ask for that salary.
Unless you enjoy. Unless you enjoy the cost of living.
Enjoying the pain.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, bro, we need to think about self.
Yeah,
sometimes.
100%.
And that's why, like, I so directly ask about
you need to.
11, 12 years in the financial industry, I've seen people extremely underpaid. Yeah. I've seen people completely overpaid for what they're doing. Yeah. And the people who are overpaid, though they're frowned on in the presence of their peers for their poor workload but high pay, they're doing what we all want to do.
Exactly.
Get paid to
That's
do less
the thing.
work.
That's actually the thing. And I'm actually sorry, and I think it's especially within our community, I would actually say that a harsh lesson that we need to learn is that we basically need to ask for more money. We need to ask the question, because if you and a counterpart are going into the same role, one of you accepts the salary that's been given to you and presented to you, and the other person negotiates and gets accepted. People aren't just going to volunteer you more money. They're just not. So
they're not going to say, you know what?
Yeah,
I like your
do you know what? Actually, let me slap on 5K. Life just doesn't work like that. Obviously, there are things that are like stacked against us already, but we just need to be aware of that, but also counteract it as well on our end, because you know, people are being overpaid in this industry, but absolutely at every turn you can, you need to be negotiating within the company, outside the company. You have to be negotiating your salary.
And I feel as if we use this word quite a few times today, but I feel like it's relative value. And I feel like where one is able to value themselves and not have that sense of imposter syndrome, I'm lucky to be here. Like I'm here and oh my gosh, like I'm so blessed to be like, you're here because number one, God placed you, and two, because you're good enough to be there.
Exactly.
You know? So that's why when I hear people say that they're kind of like feeling like that, I get it, but I'm just like, believe in you.
Believe in you, like for real, because even to the point of this value piece, right? So for example, with Jobs with Shay, I, as I've shared, I'm a busybody, so I'm always just doing something. And I think with the pains that I'm speaking to and the value that I'm talking about, it's going to be either time, cost, or quality that people are suffering with, like struggling with, right? For me, with Jobs with Shay, I really needed to hire somebody because I simply did not have the time to do everything I needed to do, right? And I think you can, once you're on the side of hiring, I think it allows you to really understand what it looks like from this perspective, right? Because in my mind, there was a point with Jobs with Shay, I hired a virtual assistant. There was a point where I would have paid top Great British dollar. GBP. I would have paid top dollar, to hire somebody. And that's a reflection. And it's the same thing with companies, right? They basically have this, they probably are, you know, they don't have the time to do this, or it's costing them loads of money. They need to hire somebody. And they're thinking, I would pay top dollar to have somebody in. However, Mr. Humble over here is coming in like, oh, I don't know my worth, thinking, oh, can I just nick a small 25k? Whereas the company would be willing to pay 50k for your value, but you don't understand that. So it's just a really, you just need to change it's just a perception thing, a value perception thing.
I guess, I don't even know how I answer this one, but I'm going to ask you.
Oh, goodness.
Because this is always my problem. And by the way, guys, like when Shay's giving all these tips, it's not like she's just speaking. I had a job interview recently. I hit you up. Yo, this is the situation. How do I go about this? What you said worked. So it's like, these things are actually important. And a challenge that I really had was when they say, I feel as if it's nearly like a game of Snap.
Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah.
Because it's like if they ask you first, what's your budget? You kind of feel like,
oh yeah.
Do I just reach for the stars or do I stay humble?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of thinking if I reach too much, they might be like, this guy's not serious.
Yeah.
Like, sit you down.
Yeah.
If I go too low, then they're happy to hear it. You're thinking, did I just undercut myself?
Yeah.
So how do we go
navigate that conversation? That's great question, because it's always a difficult one, because you don't want to get into that snap game. It's almost just like a little like salsa, like, oh, who's going for like back and forth, like
who's gonna draw their gun first?
Literally, like it just gets so techie. But I would say, and sorry, to your point, actually, something you just said of you might go in too high and they're then not interested. But also a lot of the time, even if you go in too low and you're meant to be this person that's good at their job, but if you go in too low, that can also really put people off.
I think you're too junior or something.
Literally, they might think this person doesn't know ball. They will really think, actually, we want someone that knows their value and is confident. So it's double-sided. So, sorry, to your question. That song and dance, basically. So when an employer says to you, what is your budget? The first thing you need to do, and a lot of people share the same opinion. I'm also going to say the same thing. The opinion is the person that shares the number first loses. That's what people say, right? That's the general.
And that's how I was feeling.
Yeah. However, it's true to an extent. So I'll do the song and dance with you now. Yeah, we'll do the little tussle. We'll dance more. So I'll show you how it will go. Yeah, because it's a song and dance, or you can avoid saying a number until a certain point where you still have the leverage, but you've said your number and you're confident in it. Do you know what I mean? And that still exists. It's just all a confidence thing, and it's a research. So we kind of need to have done the work of those 2 points that I said before. and come into this conversation. So that's, you can't have this conversation without those 2 points.
Got you.
So that being said, so they've said to you, what would they say? What's your budget? They will say, what salary are you looking for this role?
That's usually the question. Yeah.
What salary are you looking for this role?
Yeah.
You're not going to come out and say 55k. Yeah. You're going to say back to them, at the moment, Linda, what I'm looking for or what I'm focused on is a fit. What's really important to me is being in a company where, you know, I can get the job done, and I'm really looking for a cultural fit, right? I would love to hear the budget that you've set aside for this role. That's the first thing that you're going to say. You're just going to, nice and casually, do you know what I mean? I'm just here for the fit, Cap. But, no, joking.
Shay for Prime Minister, you know. You got these politicians that will just be giving you things like...
No, but to an extent, it's true. Like, because, and another way you can even phrase it is that, look, at the moment, I still don't fully understand the scope of the role, because you're still early on in the interview. So say you might still not have uncovered everything that they're asking you to do. So actually there's truth to it, right? So you're still trying to uncover the culture, you're still trying to uncover the job role. They might add another responsibility. You're thinking this is another 10k. So you can just say that, like, I'm actually still looking to understand the full scope of the role. Once I've done that, I'll be more than happy to share a number, but maybe what's more helpful is if you share the budget you've set aside. So that's where I would go to first. So you're kind of just batting it back over to them. Definitely understand. This is where the song and dance comes into it, because honestly, these recruiters, they're used to tussling. So they may come back again. They might come back to you and say, okay, do you know what? Actually, we're not, you know, we're not at the stage of sharing budget. Please let me know what please let me know what your budget is. I would say, and you could call me crazy, bat it back another time. And I would literally say, no. I would say, because when you deep it, I've been saying a lot of words, but we've only gone back and forth twice here. I would say, I absolutely understand what you're saying, Linda. I would say to Linda, my worry is, I don't want to price myself out of this. So I think what's best is if you share with me what you had in mind, and I'll be happy to give you a yes or a no. Give that back to them one more time. If they start saying, oh, but that's when you're like, okay, do you know what? Actually, 55k. What you're actually going to do is say 55,625. Why are we going to do? So when they've forced you to say that, when they've forced you to say a number, when you've done the little song and dance, you're going to go for a specific number. And the reason I say a specific number at this stage is because, and to be honest, this depends on whether you're at the beginning stage of the interview or post-interview. So it actually depends, and I should probably clarify. But I think at certain stages, it's very important to say a specific number. And the reason for that is there's data to show that you seem like you're more researched, basically. It basically tricks them into kind of thinking, okay, this person has calculated how much they're paying in rent, how much they've paid in fees. Like, they know exactly what they want. And this is, you know, those candidates are more likely to get close to that number. So if you're comfortable enough to do so, go for a specific number. I would say that's more for like experienced people. If not, you're going to go back to that Glassdoor and you're going to have that range in mind. And what you're actually going to say, you're not going to say, you're not going to say, I want this broad role. You're going to say, I'm being considered for roles in the range of X and Y. So you're not boxing yourself in. So it's like, even if you haven't had another interview in 6 months, you're going to say, I'm being considered for roles in this region. Exactly. Because just so that they know that you're looking around and you understand the market. That's what they need to understand. So that's where I would go with that conversation.
I Shay dropping gems today, you know. What? So let's say you get that job now. You said you wanted whatever you wanted, you got it. And you're about, I don't want to put a time frame on this on purpose, but you're in the role, and you decide one day, I just spoke to my brethren the other day, and he's doing less work than me in a similar company, similar role. He's getting paid more than me. I need a pay increase. How do we go about that? Asking for these pay increases.
What are you doing? Quote unquote. These so-called pay increases that they speak about.
And they say, we'll increase your pay by 3,000 a year.
Lord.
But how do we deal with that? How do we ask for that? So, without sounding like Oliver Twist.
No, for real. For real and for true. So pay increases are an interesting one. I think it's difficult because I think this is why it's so important to get that big pay jump between when you're moving roles, because pay increases you are doing the work on Tuesday, and on Wednesday you're asking for more money for the same thing.
What changed?
Literally, show me the maps.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a difficult conversation. So what I would say with pay increases, I would say definitely have the conversation, but you need to give time frames. So I would call your manager, like book a meeting with your manager, and you would say, these are my concerns. I've been speaking to, whether you want to say colleagues, I've been speaking to other industry professionals, and actually I've realized that, you know, my pay is basically under market rate for the work I'm producing at the minute. You need to bring in metrics. You need to bring in basically the job description that you're asked to do versus the performance that you've been providing. Like what tangible things have you done?
Two disciplinary.
Exactly. They're gonna laugh you out of that place. So you got to come with the metrics first. You got to present them with some tangible data to say, look, this is what you've brought me in to do. I'm actually working over and above that. Let's talk about the money. Obviously, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, look, I'm getting paid less than market rate. Can we have a discussion about, you know, moving this around or getting me in line with market rate at least?
Got you.
They're probably being realistic, right? Because I never want to say this is what you should go and ask and then leave that at that. Real life conversations often look very different to this. Yeah. So probably what's going to then happen is that they're going to come back to you and say, look, it was Tuesday, it's now Wednesday. No, they're going to say like, look, it's not something that we budgeted for at the moment, right? What you're then going to do is give them a time frame. So you're then going to say, okay, either my appraisal's coming up or just kind of put in these timelines for yourself. Yeah. In 3 months' time, what do you need to see from me in order for me to get this pay rise?
Got you.
Give yourself that timeline. Give them that time to find the budget from somewhere.
Right in.
Exactly. Yeah. Give them that time. You need to meet those KPIs or those things that they've said.
Of course,
you need to do the work on your part. And then once you get to that, now you've got a date in mind that can happen. Then it's easier to argue your case, basically. Yeah.
Wow. You've been through these processes before, innit?
Do you know what? It's very interesting because 100% negotiated like salary and like internal things, but I think it's just learning the art of the game, man. Yeah. The beautiful game. Yeah, it's just the beautiful game. It's just learning the art of the game because I like that. Yeah,
so I want to use that. Going to work tomorrow. Yeah,
the beautiful game.
Let's kick off. So cool. And for those that are kind of still nervous about talking about pay at work, but you know what? I'm going to retract a little bit. We've mentioned Glassdoor quite a few times today.
Yeah.
And I personally, myself, have questioned the accuracy of the information on Glassdoor.
Right, okay.
How do we know, or what should we look out for in these posts that people put up to know whether we are looking at the right place or not? And the reason I say that is because I know that I've gone into roles before external and got paid a lot more than they would have paid someone who came in through the ranks of the company.
Yes. Oh, very true. Yeah.
What sort of things should we be looking at when Glassdoor's giving us these figures and stuff about job roles?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective because, both things you've said are true actually. Because I think I really like Glassdoor. Yeah. I think because in terms of the information that's on there, there's a lot of things that companies can encourage their employees to do. But in terms of salaries, that's employee led, right? They have to go on there and put that in. But also, you're absolutely correct. When somebody is employed from outside of the company, they're often coming at a much higher rate.
That's usually
things to look out for, I suppose, is kind of what I mentioned earlier, but maybe obviously go and look at what the company is saying, but then you need to just match that and just make sure it makes sense in the context of like people of your experience in the same industry, in organizations of the same type, of the same size. Because if there's if you're seeing really low numbers and you haven't gone to check elsewhere, you don't really have any context basically. So I would just say it's just about a bit of thorough research.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's sick. And I did some reading on Shay over here.
Oh goodness.
And I saw some pictures from back in the day.
Oh.
I saw I saw a boot camp on your website looking sort of thing. It was like boot camp, like a job boot camp sort of thing.
Let me think.
And it was talking about like giving people, I think it was tips on finding your dream job.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
I wanted you to give us our own live and direct boot camp on 3 tips for finding your dream.
Oh, now putting me on the spot, child. Okay.
Tips. And these ones have to hit too.
They have to hit.
These ones have to land well.
Let me. No, brought some water. Okay. So 3 tips on landing your dream job. Okay, I just realized what you're saying about the boot camp. I had an online course, I think, that I called a job search lab or something boot camp. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, got you. No. Yeah. I'm just remembering. 3 I'm trying to make sure they're my best tips on landing your dream job.
Your dream job. So you really want this role. Well, let's say
you already know which role you want.
Yeah, you
okay, got you. Yes.
And I want this job.
I can do this job. Yeah.
I've been fasting. I've prayed.
Yeah.
I want this job.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Okay.
Should I be doing?
Okay, so I'm going to probably touch on, I'm saying this because you remind me because my memory's like a fish. So I'm probably going to touch on 2 things you should do on your CV.
Nice. Okay.
And then one thing on CV.
Yeah.
1 thing on outreach.
Nice.
And another thing on recruiters.
Cool.
Yeah, so you just have to remind me. Okay, cool. So let's take the CV first of all, yeah? Mm-hmm. I think, and I'll start with the mistake that I see people making, is that people, even if they see their dream job, they just think, oh yeah, my CV's good. Let me just send it in, cross my fingers and hope this is okay.
Hey, YOLO.
Yeah, YOLO. And a lot of the time, I'm not actually a CV reviewer, right? I don't actually look through people's CVs. I just, I'm just in that industry, but I don't do it day to day. But when I do, people make the same mistakes on their CV and I literally can spot it straight away. Your CV, is not about you, is what I would say. It's about the company that you're applying for. Yeah. Right. And this is why I'm sure I'll ruffle a lot of feathers with this. And I think some people will listen to me and be like, I cannot be bothered to do that. And that's absolutely fine, right? But my policy is your CV needs to be different for every single job that you apply to. And there are certain things on your CV that you need to change, certain areas of your CV that you need to change for each job that you apply to. Right. So most people, what they'll do is they'll get the job description of a role that they've been doing and copy and paste those responsibilities. You're looking very guilty. They'll copy and paste those responsibilities on there. The one thing that you need to do, I'd say, on your CV is not list your responsibilities. Yeah. It's look at the job description of that same dream job, that's saying they need, let's say this dream job is a social media manager. Yeah. And they're asking you to have experience managing Twitter campaigns. Mm-hmm. Rather than saying your first bullet point is worked at this company, managed Twitter campaigns. Yeah. You need to say, I led a rollout of a certain campaign. It led to a 53% increase in engagement across this company's platform, and that led to XYZ, right? You need to be showing your results rather than just describing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say your CV is not about you, because what have I done? It's your like achievement or your metrics, but it's in line with what that company is looking for, because they need to look at it and think this person can do exactly what I need them to do. So that's the first thing on the CV. There's loads I can go into, but I'll just give the one. That's the main one in terms of like. Okay, outreach. The next one is outreach. So you've done your CV. Your CV is looking nice and pretty, but there's no real way to ensure that it ends up in the hands of a recruiter. That's so true. Because a lot of these processes are very automated, and some people might not know it's kind of just very boring, very technical. There's something called an ATS, and your CV is basically scanned for keywords, right? Oh, wow. So that's why you need to tailor your CV. That's what to the job spec, because even if you've got like social media exec and the job role is looking for social media manager, if somebody's more matched up than you, they're gonna appear when that person's it's a search. You think these people are looking for you manually through 100? There we go. They haven't. So that's the thing. So obviously you do that work to kind of tailor your CV. So that's one. But even outside of being found, you need to literally hand deliver that CV. And what does that look like? That I'm not talking about printing it out and sending it in. No.
Go to the office.
No, for real. No, I'm talking about basically finding that recruiter on LinkedIn
Okay.
and reaching out to them. And literally the message is just going to be super simple. You're just going to say, we're using Linda today for some reason. You're just going to say, hey, Linda, I've seen that you're recruiting for this role.
Yeah.
This company looks really exciting. I'm just, I've hit apply already, but I wanted to send you my CV directly here because I think I'd be a great fit. My background is helping. You're not going to say my background is in social media. You're going to say something so specific to that job description. You're going to say my background is in helping companies engage wider audiences online, so that sort of thing. So they're really like, this
already
person
you're
knows.
hitting home already.
Exactly. So that recruiter, out of the 100 messages that they see, they're going to be like, I need to speak to this person. So that way you're literally already in front of them. Nice. So we have CV, then we've done outreach. What did I say?
Recruiters.
Oh, so no. Okay, so I did it in the wrong way, but it's fine. That was the recruiter point that I was going to make.
Yeah, cool.
The outreach one is actually fairly similar.
Nice.
So alongside making sure that your CV actually gets seen, the recruiter angle is one way that you can do it. When I say outreach, I mean in terms of getting referrals.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. That is the main way that people that is the main way that people get, or the most likely way that you're going to get recruited for a role with a referral.
Got you.
So because and the reason why that is, we see referrals play out all the time. For example, if you're watching something on Netflix, me personally, I don't go on there randomly and click things. It's going to be somebody either on Twitter or online, or one of my friends being like, oh, I watched this thing, go and watch it. Like, we love recommendations. We go for things with five-star reviews. We care about things that have been recommended from other people. Even more so, like, people that are going to work with you, right? So you need to make sure you're being referred in. So that one, again, that falls into outreach, in that you need to be reaching out to people and let people know that you're looking for a role. And literally, I did it. I applied to, I think when I got my recent job, I applied to about 4 companies. That was literally just 4. All of them I got referrals for. And I literally, even if I didn't know the person, I reached out and I said, oh, I wonder if this company has a referral program. I'm going to apply, but I'd actually love for you to get the referral bonus if they do that. Are you happy to refer me? If you want to have a conversation to make sure that, I'm not a crazy person, let's do that. But otherwise, here's my CV. Could you please refer me in? So that's what it's about.
No, amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate today, Like,
I hope that was good enough. I hope I passed.
You don't know. I'm taking notes for myself. Boy, this next question is maybe the second to last question.
Okay.
But I feel like this is a very important question right now, and I feel as if this might be the one that people take the most sort of, not the most value, but because it's so current, it's quite key.
Sure.
Now, everyone is aware of this whole movement of big jobs in the tech industry, as we see it on TikTok. Not that I'm on TikTok that much, but we see it on TikTok. I want to talk about navigating a career change. So take someone like, let me just use myself. So I went to an event, the Black Tech Fest.
Okay.
Big up the Black Tech Fest. Amazing event last year. And I was speaking to all these people from Google, Amazon and PlayStation, and they're talking to me about the tech world and tech jobs, and I'm just like, but I don't fit into anything you lot are talking about.
Interesting.
I have 12 years of financial service experience. I don't know how to design nothing. I don't know what tech really is. So I want to talk about people who are in a job role. They're seeing these ads online and it's saying, you could be earning X amount.
Work from home.
Work from home. Never see your office again. Free laptop. Paid lunch. All that stuff. How do they best navigate that change?
Getting into that industry. That
or even if it's not even tech, if someone just wants to make a career change, what would you say?
Okay. So I'll go to the tech question first, and then I'll answer the career change one. So with the tech industry, it's this shiny object at the minute, right? But extremely, But this is the real, There are tech, basically, that people see it very differently depending on who you ask, right?
Got you.
The way, me personally, my definition of tech is there's 2 sides to it. So it's either a company that their main sort of source of income or their main revenue stream is based on a tech product, right? So it's based on that product, and that is a tech company. But so here's the thing. You could be working in tech, but be non-technical.
Yes.
And you can be in a tech company, but not technical. Have I just said the same thing? Do you get what I mean? I'll take myself for example. So I work in a tech company because the main mechanism that my company makes money is through a technological product, right? However, I'm in sales, so I'm in a non-technical role. I work with technical partners that do a lot of that stuff. That's nothing to do with me.
Good job, bro.
But I still work in tech. I still get the unlimited annual leave. I still get the remote work. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
What is that? What? And we are here.
Did you say rough play?
That's rough play.
Rough play.
Unlimited. I don't ever heard that one before.
No.
Hit me in the comments if you've heard that one before.
I'm screaming. Unlimited annual leave. So unlimited annual leave. I took 37 days last year. Anyways, let's move on. So there are companies that are tech companies that have non-technical people working there. But there are, for example, an insurance company that might have a UX designer or somebody that works in a technical role or like an engineer. Do you know what I mean? It really depends on what you're looking at. So for you specifically, that would so if you're trying to transition into tech, that looks like you doing something similar to me where you're working in a tech company in a non-technical role, because we have people obviously that work in our finance teams. We have people that like there's so many roles that come under that. So so to the second point, I suppose people that want to transition into the industry, 100% first thing they need to do is identify the role.
Okay, cool.
Because I think the issue that most people will come up against is you have people with linear careers that on their CV, it's been, let's just take the most, not basic, but I would say the sort of least barrier to entry role with tech to me is the client success manager.
Okay. Cool.
So for example, in my role, my role is a national account manager, so it's like the corporate sales side. Alongside me is the client success manager. So anything that basically means anything I recommend, they need to make sure that it works, and they need to be that sort of thing. So to go back then, let's say there's a person who has got 3 years of experience as a client success manager. If you're coming in from an outside perspective, coming into this role, and you're kind of, I would do client success, but I'd also do a business analyst, but I'd also do that. The person that's not even got that experience has just made it very clear that they're going for that type of role. They're going to be picked over you. It's 7 days of the week, because they're making it very clear that that's what I've done and that's what I'm going to do. Exactly. But even if you have a different background, as long as you're clear on where you're going and how your background relates into this role, you're going to be absolutely fine. But you need to be able to be identified. People aren't going to look at your background and think, this person's, been in, I always go to social media. I don't know. This person's been in administration. They'll be good for this client success role that I've got. They're just not going to do that. Do you know what I mean? So you need to make it, first of all, you need to choose and be very specific. It doesn't mean you need to sell your soul and be like, right, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But even if there's multiple things that you're being clear on or that you've decided on, they individually, they need to be clear, if that makes sense. So that's where they're changing your CV around, and that's where that, do you know what I mean? That's where that,
from earlier.
Exactly, because otherwise you're not going to be found for any of those things. And just so in terms of people looking to get into tech, I'd say if you've come from like an administrative, anything with extreme organization, any client facing like customer service sort of things, client success is your best way in, I'd say, in a tech company. But outside of that, it's really just looking at the parallels, the core skills that you've been doing in your day to day. So let's say you're literally in an administrative role. You've been, if you're trying to go from like an administrative role to a project manager, you can look at the things that you've been doing day to day and pull from that what projects that you've been managing. Literally those transferable skills. So what does that look like? Have you been tasked with, counting up how many people are in the organization and how many people have left? I'm literally making things up from the top of my head. Right. But those little tasks, that you can paint that to look like a project, and then you can literally, you can take that and start using that language of project management to transition into that sort of role. So it's literally just about mirroring the language and really just, it's going to be work. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to jump up salary, you're trying to jump up 20, 30K here. So you got to take this as work that you're being paid for, put it in the graft. But you have to do some upfront work to be like, what have I been really doing in the root of my role and how does this apply to where I want to go? And you just have to do that work to draw it out. Then you'll be able to be found for that sort of thing.
Aye, guys, don't say you don't learn anything here. You know.
We're preaching.
She's preaching. I'm the congregation. I'm just saying my Bible like, yes.
Yeah.
Sick. Aye, last question, Shay.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
whatever you made last year, from Jobs with Shay, from Party Here, from your role at work, times it by 3.
Okay.
In your head. Mm-hmm. Would you do something that you don't like and have no passion for that amount of money?
Oh, goodness gracious! So times by 3. Would I? No.
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 Why not?
I mean, there's loads of caveats, but my straight answer is no.
It's not on it.
No, because I'm trying to I love what I do now. I love my full-time job. I love my businesses.
Yeah.
I'm trying to times that by 5. So we're going to get there regardless. Amen. So I just wouldn't. And I think, it depends on the caveat. Are you saying to me that, what I earned last year is what I'm going to be earning going forward?
So if you earn last year times by 3, that's going to be what you're going to be earning doing what
going forward. But but if I stay where I am, is that the ceiling of what I earn?
No, of course.
Oh, then I'd stay doing what I love.
What you love,
Yeah, definitely.
You're on the passion over money side.
Yeah, I am. No, this is. We can really get into it, because I know we're wrapping up. But I think I'm not on the do your passion for your full-time job. I'm not on that. Okay. I'm not part of that group.
I hear that.
Because I think when your passion is paying your bills, it looks different. Things start to look a bit crazy in the light. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it turns from like, I really love this to like, oh, so good. Yeah, exactly. So I just think, that is the small asterisk I'd put on there. But yeah, I think the main thing is doing things that you have a natural strength doing, or like you're naturally good at, things that come quite easy to you. Because I think the main issues arise, you're bad at maths, but you've got a job where maths is 90%. Why?
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. You need to do things that come easily to you, that challenge you a little bit. And then also, I think it's like a Venn diagram. You're trying to find that middle point. Things that come naturally to you, things that also challenge you, and then things like in an industry that you have like an interest in, basically. That's where you need to find yourself.
I like that. Ayo, Jobs with Shay. Now
I'm doing what I can.
The enjoyment I've seen you do.
Look, balance. Life is about.
It's a party with Shay. But today she's justified it. Shay, where can we find you, man?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so for the job stuff, it's Jobs with Shay. If you
Instagram.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Actually, Instagram, I'm not doing it so much. I'm literally just doing the writing stuff. Cool. Just trying to save my time. Literally just tweeting Jobs with Shay for, I suppose, just keeping up with me and like the lifestyle. No, I'm joking. Just keeping up with me. We're doing updating everybody on my house renovation at the minute. So that's on Instagram, Shay Loks. Doing what I can, man. And then what else? Oh, Party Here, the pub quiz. Nice. That's PRTYHERE on Instagram as well.
When's the next event?
The next event is on April 23rd.
April 23rd. Lock that one in.
Yeah.
There's going to be a link at the bottom of this video.
Yeah, lovely.
For 10 free tickets.
I need to sign that off with management. I'll get back to you on that one.
Management, if you're watching, just, look after the boys. Aye, Shay, it's such a blessing having you.
No, it's been great, man. Much. Great conversation.
Thank you for coming on. Like,
anytime.
Really appreciate you. My people, more value added. I'm getting tired of I'm getting tired of just like giving you all this lovely value. But my G's, you've been locked into another episode of the Money Ties podcast. Your boy Clarence K and my sis here, Shay. Stay locked in for the next one. Links will be at the bottom. Peace.